Hey guys, it's Sean from RecPro.com. Thanks so much for joining us today, where we're going to be talking about our instrument panels from KIB, our wire harnesses, and how they're hooked up to the tanks, and to give you kind of an idea of how the entire system works, and taking a look at the different probes and things like that. So what we have here is our M21 sensor, and this will come with 3 harnesses. One for your black water tank, one for your gray water, and one for your freshwater. As you can see on this, you have the different buttons that will correlate to your different tanks. And on the back side, the wiring that's actually coming out of the gauge, you're going to have a blue wire that connects to the harness, which is going to give your freshwater reading, a gray wire that's going to hook to your gray water tank to give you that reading, and then you're going to have a brown wire for your holding tank. Now, depending on which tank you're hooking to, so let's call this your freshwater tank, you're going to have 3 wires that are going to read the levels. You're going to have yellow, anything below is going to read empty, anything above it will read 1/3, green 2/3, the orange, which will read full. Did I get the colors right? Mm-hmm. The white wire is your ground wire, and this red wire, this is the important wire. So since this is your freshwater tank, that's what we're going to call this today, this red wire is going to hook to the gauge with the blue wire behind. That way, when this reads, it will read for your freshwater. Now, what we've done is we've put into this tank what we call the standard arrangement for these probes. Your ground wire, the white wire, is here. Your yellow, which is your empty, is here. And the way the resistance circuit works is it's sending out electrical pulses, and when it makes the connection with this particular wire, it sends a signal back into that telling it that it is at empty. So when I push the freshwater button, as you can see, when I push the freshwater button, it read correctly. It read empty. Now we're going to fill this tank up to half full, push the button again, and you'll see that it's going to light up to half full. Now, with this particular sensor being covered right here, as you can see, the water line is above it. When I push this button, it's going to read 2/3. Now, as you can see, we've got this tank filled up all the way above the top sensor. One thing I'd like to point out before we move into pushing the button to make sure that it shows you how it's going to read, the different sensors that are in this tank, we've tightened all of them down in this plexiglass wall, which is actually thinner than the tank walls you'll be applying these probes to. And as you can see, we don't have one leak anywhere on this tank. These probes, when you tighten them down, seal watertight. So you know that this grommet is gonna work. And also, I'd like you to notice this top probe is one of our Horst Miracle probes. The white backing on it, the hood, actually will help you get better readings from your tank because it protects the sensors from detritus that's in your tanks. And that's the nice thing about this probe, is that since it has the hood on it, it won't let the trash and everything that is in the tank get on top of the sensors and give you false readings. And another way to help with that, aside from installing the Miracle probes, which when you install these, you want to make sure you have the milled or flat side facing down so the hood cover is up, is to get a tank digester. We sell tank digesters. Travel John's works really, really well. And if you get the digester plus the treatment, it will actually keep it from being odorous for a week at a time. So you get the best of both worlds. So if you get the digester, the treatment, and you use these Miracle probes, you're going to have good readings all the time you're traveling. So let's take a look at this last button. Let's give it a push and see if it reads correctly. So that's the basics of how our gauges and our sensors work. It's a really simple installation. You mark your spots for your sensors. You want to keep 10 inches from the pigtail. You want to keep these at these levels, and your ground is right here, 1/3, 2/3, all the way full. Insert the probes, tighten them down, attach the eyelets, wire it to the gauge, hook it up to the power, you're ready to go. And these tanks work so well We found our friend Nemo, and we're going to let him swim around in our very clear potable water tank. Oh, and we turned the electricity off. That is somewhat sad. Oh, that was sad.